Today, we journey to the dark heart of the Russian Revolution, to a cellar in Ekaterinburg, 1918. We are investigating a historical mystery drenched in tragedy and political conspiracy, the execution of the Romanov Imperial Family. But our focus is not the massacre itself, but the ghost it left behind. The enduring, heartbreaking legend of Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna, the youngest daughter who may have survived. Grab your coffee. We are decoding the final secret of the Romanov dynasty, a mystery that spanned a century and created one of history's most compelling identity crises. The Romanov family Czar Nicholas II, his wife Empress Alexandra, their 4 daughters, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, and their young son, Tsarevich Alexei, were the absolute rulers of Imperial Russia until the February Revolution of 1917. They were deposed and eventually exiled to Ekaterinburg in the Ural Mountains. Their downfall was swift and their fate gruesome. In the early hours of the 17th of July 1918, the family, along with 4 loyal retainers, were woken and ordered to descend into the basement cellar of the Ipatiev house, a building the Bolsheviks ominously called the House of Special Purpose. The official narrative states that the entire party, 11 people, were executed by a firing squad in a chaotic, brutal flurry of gunfire and bayonet thrusts. The Bolshevik leaders, needing to consolidate power and eliminate the symbol of the old regime, had decreed their death. However, the speed and brutality of the execution created immediate, enduring questions. The bodies were subsequently dismembered and dissolved with acid in a botched attempt to erase them entirely. When the first investigators arrived, they confirmed that 10 bodies were missing, but the official report remained vague, and critically, it was never definitively confirmed that all 7 Romanovs were accounted for. This ambiguity, combined with the extreme violence and poor forensic work, immediately fueled rumors of a survivor. Of all the family members, the mystery quickly centered on the 2 youngest. Tsarevich Alexei, due to his hemophilia, which might have protected him from immediate death, and the Grand Duchess Anastasia, the spirited and rebellious youngest daughter. The legend of Anastasia's survival was born from a single, compelling forensic detail. The clothes worn by the Grand Duchesses had been secretly lined with over 4 pounds of jewels and diamonds, a desperate attempt by the family to smuggle their wealth out of Russia. During the execution, these jewels acted as ancient body armor, deflecting bullets and creating chaos within the firing squad. The guards had to resort to bayonets to finish the job, and in the confusion, it was widely speculated that the small, quick Anastasia had managed to slip away or had simply survived the initial onslaught, leaving her fate open to question. For decades, the Soviet government maintained a deliberate, tight-lipped, historical cover-up. they only officially confirmed the execution of Tsar Nicholas II, keeping the fate of his wife and children a state secret, primarily to prevent anti-Bolshevik forces from rallying around a surviving heir. This decades-long denial only served to feed the public hunger for a miracle survivor. The first major identity crisis arrived in Berlin in 1920. A young woman was rescued from a canal after attempting suicide. She was hospitalized, silent, and covered in scars. She refused to identify herself, but due to her upper-class demeanor and the location of her scars, she was soon identified by other patients as Grand Duchess Tatiana and later as Grand Duchess Anastasia. This woman, who eventually revealed her identity as Anna Anderson, would become the most famous claimant to the Romanov legacy. Anna Anderson possessed an uncanny knowledge of certain details of the Romanov court. She spoke multiple languages, and she bore a striking physical resemblance to the young Anastasia. For years, the exiled Romanov relatives were bitterly divided. Some were utterly convinced she was the lost princess, drawn in by her demeanor and the shared trauma of the past. Others were vehemently opposed, citing differences in ears, height, and crucially, her inability to speak Russian fluently. The legal battles over her identity dragged on for decades, making Anastasia's story one of the 20th century's longest-running legal and historical hoaxes. The truth of the Ekaterinburg mystery finally began to surface in 1979, when the execution site was first located. But due to intense fear of the Soviet secret police, the discovery was kept secret until the fall of the USSR. In 1991, the mass grave was officially excavated. Forensic teams found the remains of 9 individuals: the Tsar, the Empress, 3 of the daughters, and the 4 retainers. Crucially, 2 bodies were missing: the Tsarevich Alexei and one of the Grand Duchesses. The missing daughter was initially identified as Maria, but the possibility that it was Anastasia remained, rekindling the old legends. The forensic evidence was partial, and the initial DNA tests were hampered by the poor quality of the samples. This gap in the grave provided powerful, if silent, confirmation for the believers in Anastasia's escape. The final piece of the puzzle came in 2007. A second, smaller grave was discovered nearby, containing the remains of a boy and a young woman. Advanced DNA analysis, comparing the remains to living Romanov relatives, confirmed the horrifying truth. These were the remains of Tsarevich Alexei and the missing Grand Duchess, who was confirmed to be Maria. This meant that the bodies of the entire Romanov Imperial family had finally been found. This forensic discovery served as the definitive, ultimate debunking of the Anna Anderson story and the Anastasia survival myth. In 1994, DNA analysis on a sample of Anna Anderson's tissue had already proven that she was not related to the Romanovs. Her DNA matched that of a missing Polish factory worker named Franziska Szankowska. The woman who had fought for the identity of Anastasia for over 60 years was a heartbroken imposter. The legacy of the Romanov ghosts, however, is not a story of a lie, but a story of hope, the powerful human need to believe that innocence can survive terror. The Soviet government's long, cruel suppression of the truth allowed the survival myth to thrive. Had they been honest in 1918, the legend of the lost Grand Duchess might never have taken hold. The Romanov family now rests together, finally granted peace. The tragic reality of their collective execution is now established history. But the spirit of the lost princess, Anastasia, lives on as the most potent, beautiful, and enduring historical mystery of the 20th century. Tell us in the comments, do you find the forensic evidence fully conclusive? Or do you believe the century of mystery and conspiracy still leaves room for doubt about the final secret of the Romanovs? Keep questioning everything.